Let's go to Antonio, who joins us in Sacramento, California. Antonio, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, how are you? Great having me on the show.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you. What's up?
So, about maybe a month and a half ago, I most recently got fired from my job. But prior to that, I was in a very toxic situation. And just to give you the level of how toxic it was, I'm just going to give you the story and what I should do from then on.
Okay.
So, my boss, I work in a kitchen, and I was very verbally abused, physically abused, and I'm going to tell you about that physical abuse, emotionally abused at this job. And I never knew how, tough the kitchen was until I got to this job. And so the story goes like this. The chef, actually, the whole entire kitchen called me the kid, or in Spanish, el niño. And they would be like, oh, kid, can you do this? Kid, can you do that? Well, the chef had made a comment, a very snarky comment, and he says, if the kid ever acts up, you have my permission to hit him. Now, he meant that as a joke, and it wasn't really a very tasteful joke, in my opinion, but I didn't really say anything because at the time I was like, oh, this is the kitchen, they make jokes like that all the time. Maybe this is how they work. And this was basically my entry-level job. And no more than maybe 5 or 6 days later, one of the ladies had actually physically touched me. And I was working at a specific station, and the chef stopped me what I was doing. I went over to another station, cut some meat for another station, and then I came back, and I completely forgot to clean my station from where I came from. Well, the salad lady got very upset that I didn't clean my station, and that was my fault. I take accountability for forgetting. I'm very forgetful. And she ended up taking that snarky comment that the chef made maybe no more than a couple days ago, coming over to me, grabbing my ear, pulling me from one side of the kitchen over to the other side, and embarrassing me in front of pretty much most of the staff, and told me to clean up my station. And I didn't take note to this, and now my question is, what action should I take after this? Because as a Christian, I'm told to forgive, but I also want justice for the embarrassment, the physical abuse, the mental trauma that came with this last job, and it just was not right. And they end up firing me because I was not disciplined enough to work there, and that's why they fired me.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this. The physical abuse that you've been talking about is the lady grabbing your ear, correct? Anything else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would often, just make really mean comments to me, or they would talk behind my back.
Hold on a second. And all that's awful, and I hate that. But you're leveling charges of physical abuse, and from what I understand, we've got one situation where the lady grabbed your ear and drugged you by your ear. Anything else?
Mm-hmm. The chef would yell at me like if he was a drill sergeant.
My friend.
Sometimes he would.
My friend.
Yeah.
You need to. I need to help you with this.
Yes.
Yelling at you is not physical abuse.
No, it's not.
Okay, we have to be careful when we're charging. It's wrong. I don't want to minimize, Antonio, what happened to you, but you can't physical. You can't. You don't need to sue them over it. I mean, I wouldn't sue them over this. Me personally, I'm not even sure you get anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you move on. I think you learn something from this. Okay. But before I tell you what I think you ought to learn, I mean, are we clear that like no one else physically harmed you other than she grabbed you by the ear and pulled you? Yeah,
that was the only time.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can get a free consultation from a lawyer, I don't want you to pay for this, is my point. Mm-hmm. And you tell them what the lady did, you might be able to go after her. I mean, people can sue for anything these days. But as to how that's going to turn out, I mean, that's your call. I personally would not sue over that. That sounds like, can I be honest with you? Sounds like an old school lady who how old is this woman that pulled you by the ear?
No more than like 40 or 50 years old.
Yeah, she's still old school. Shouldn't have done it. She shouldn't have touched you. But that's up to you whether or not you want to sue. I personally wouldn't. The issue is you can't put yourself in an environment like that again. Or the minute that the chef was yelling at you and treating you that way, you should have known, you know what? It's not a healthy place for me. Okay, so don't beat yourself up. You did nothing wrong. But the only thing you can take away from this is what kind of environment do I want to be in? How do I want to be treated? Because I want to be treated with dignity. And I believe you deserve that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm also not a lawyer. I don't know if there's much here to sue on, but maybe there is. I don't know that there's enough. But if you want to look into it, I'm not saying it's wrong. I think I would learn from this and go, all right, I want to put myself in an environment where somebody wants me there. I also need to put myself in an environment where I'm going to have a chance to win. Do you acknowledge that you were fired for legitimate reasons?
Yes, there was legitimate reasons why I got fired.
So here's the deal. Instead of beating yourself up, I want you to be aware that maybe you didn't put yourself in the best situation to perform. And going forward, we want healthy culture where you're treated with dignity. And we also want to be doing work that you're, much better at. Like you're not forgetting stuff all the time. You want to set yourself up to win is my point. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I don't know that you've got a lawsuit or not. But let me just say this. If you can get a free consult from a lawyer, go, look, I was fired. This happened, this happened, this happened. But you acknowledge that you were fired for the right reason. You weren't treated well. You could get a lawyer's opinion, an employment lawyer on this, but I don't want you to spend a bunch of money trying to build a case unless that lawyer feels like there's really something there. And I don't know. To me, I'd move on. And I'm sorry that happened to you. I really am. That is embarrassing. You can't do that. She shouldn't have done it. Can I just tell you something, though? My mom did that to me about 100 times when I was a kid, but that was my mom, not a coworker. I tell you what, if that woman would have grabbed me by the ear, I'm telling you right now, there ain't no way she would drag me. She'd have to pull my ear off. I'm not going with her. I hate this for you. I really do, Antonio. But listen, there's a learning experience here, and you need to take the high road. Find a better road for your future. I'm sorry that happened. But listen, this happens all the time. It's just horrible that a boss, like the chef's yelling at this young kid just because you feel like you can yell at this young man, treat him like garbage because he's young. I don't mind being called the kid, but I don't want to be treated like the kid, and they treated this guy like a kid. I'm glad you're out of there, Antonio. I'm not glad for how you were treated, but I am glad you're out of there. Move forward. Onward and upward, young man.